Hi everyone, David here from Rosso Coffee Roasters, and this is your week 16 home coffee plan. So this week's coffee is a coffee from Burundi. In 2018, I actually had the amazing honor to visit this mill. And the mill's name is Businde, and it's an absolutely stunning and beautiful place. So Businde's actually been in operation for the last 10 years, and amazingly enough, it won the Cup of Excellence in Burundi. The Businde washing station has a wide reach to lots of local coffee farmers, and they're actually processing coffee for over 650 families. So let's talk a little bit about the processing that this washed coffee's gone through. So it's been fermented for 12 hours in a traditional style, where the coffee has been pulped at night, and then it's left in these big ceramic tanks overnight, and then they come in the morning, they clean and wash the coffee, and they actually put them in serpentine channels, and this allows them to sort out the coffee through density. It's a really unique way to process coffee. And then once it's gone through all that, it's left on raised beds to dry over the next 18 to 22 days. And the team at Businde is constantly rotating the cherries while it's on the beds. So this week you might notice, got an espresso machine in front of me. So Paul, our head roaster, has actually roasted this coffee with a little more development. He thinks it'll be suited really well for espresso and milk-based drinks. Doesn't mean you can't do pour-overs with it, just thought we'd change it up and brew some espresso. So give me a few moments and we're gonna get after it, make some espressos with Businde. Okay, so let's talk about dialing in. A few things. So once we take out the portafilter, we always wanna knock the old puck out and clean it. So obviously if the coffee was going back in, that'd be a big no-no. All this old coffee would be brewing with our freshly ground coffee and creating a lot of weird flavors. So always clean this bad boy out. Let's just have a cloth, get in all the spots. So let's talk about how much coffee should be going into our basket. So I know this basket size is 18 grams. And what that means is we want to stay within 18, so plus or minus 1 gram on either side to fit in this basket. If we put too much coffee in, it'll actually clog up some of the holes here. And if we put too little coffee in, it'll actually cause a lot of channels and will be very difficult to extract the coffee perfectly. We happen to have this super fancy grinder that has a scale built in. But if you just have a home grinder, you want to have a scale sitting beside your grinder and you'd actually weigh out how much is going in. So we'll put this in. We're going to look for 18 grams. So our super slick grinder got 18 grams in perfectly, but let's say you got 17 and a half or 18 and a half. You would actually want to place that down and then use a spoon and to remove some out, or you could grind a little bit extra and then put that in to hit us 18. The amount of coffee going in is super important. So this is a stage we want to always control. So having 18 grams in, that way we're controlling it and our shots aren't gonna fluctuate because of the dough size changing. Okay, let's talk about next steps. So if we were just to tamp this coffee, we'd have a lot more coffee here, density-wise, than the rest of the basket. So ultimately, what we wanna do is redistribute the coffee evenly around the basket. We're gonna do that kind of nudging the coffee. So you can see, trying to make a nice flat bed. So nice and flat and even everywhere. So when the water pours over the coffee, it's going through it evenly. Next, tamping. A lot of people think tamping's super important. It's actually probably one of the least important steps. It's just packing the coffee down, but ultimately distribution's much more important, and then ultimately the grind setting. So tamping, we're coming with a level. We wanna have our elbow up on an angle. Super simple, just come to the side here. Everything's nice and clean, pucks in there. next we're gonna do, come over to the machine, I'm gonna wipe down the tray, flush the group head with a little bit of fresh water. This will clean off the screen and make everything ready to go. Okay, let's pull this shot here. So let's get everything set up. So I always recommend a scale at your espresso machine so you can see how much wet weight is coming out. So we'll put our cups underneath. So I'm gonna start, we got 18 going in, so 18 grams in our basket. I'm gonna look for about 40 grams in our cup. And this is like a pretty standard recipe. We'll start trying the coffee at 20, 22 seconds. And the reason we wanna use this as a starting point is a lot of our coffees dial in kind of at this point. If you like a thicker, heavier coffee, you might want, 36, 38 grams in the finished cup. And if you like high clarity and low body, you might go 42, 45 grams in our finished cup. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Okay, so we're definitely not dialed in. So we got 18 grams in our basket. This shot pulled for 13 seconds and we got 60 grams in our cup. Yeah, not gonna be great. But if there's one thing you've learned in coffee is you gotta try every parameter. My guess is this coffee is gonna taste super under extracted, sour, unpleasant, but I'm gonna try it. Oh. Yeah, so it's super sharp. It's not good whatsoever. So what do I need to do? I need to fine up my grind and pull another shot. Okay, we've gone quite a bit finer. Got 18 in. See what happens here. All right, that looks a little more in the range. So we can see the shots, we're kind of already at 15 seconds. It's gonna lighten up as we continue through the brew here. All right, so we got 18 grams going in. We pulled for 23 seconds and we got 46 out. So maybe a touch long, but in a much better range. You can see on the crema, looking nice. Coffee's super fresh. The batch I'm using was roasted yesterday, so this will be interesting to try. All right, so significantly better than the last shot. It's quite sweet. I'm getting quite a bit in orange. There's a bit of zest in there. I think I've pulled it slightly too long. The body is a bit thin, and I think it would be much more enjoyable kind of in the 40 gram range, but it's close. So 3 shots in, we've started getting in a much better range. So I'm gonna make one more grind adjustment. So we're gonna go finer still, try to hit about 25 seconds on the brew time and about 40 grams in the finish weight. Get our next dose here. So we've gone a little bit finer. Okay, so got 26 seconds, got 42 out. I was a little slow on stopping the shot there. So it smells really nice. You might be wondering why I'm splitting the shot because we're gonna try this side as a cappuccino. So this is a nice little single. Oh yeah, so that's a lot better. So there's way more clarity and sweetness. Like I'm tasting a bit of mandarin, tangerine. Again, it's really sweet, brown sugar, I'd say. Kind of on the back end, there's like a bit of a cola note. The body's kind of, you know, it's quite round. It's a little bit juicy. It's right in range. Final recipe, I'd say, is 18 grams in, pulling 26, 27 seconds for around 40 to 43 grams out. Tasting really good. Okay, let's make a cappuccino. So we're gonna use this nice little cup, throw our shot. So just this little single in there. Got our milk. So we're using a small pitcher. We're just gonna kind of go right under the lip. This cup is quite small. It's like 4 ounces. So this is a little too much milk, but we can't go any smaller. You don't wanna have too little milk. Otherwise, when you go to steam the milk, it'll be next to impossible to steam correctly. So that's kind of our minimum quantity. So when we're steaming milk, we always want to purge, meaning making sure there's no water left over in the steam one. It'll condense. So steam cools down, it turns into water. So we always want to purge that out, and it's a good cleaning mechanism. So we'll purge this. And I always just give it a nice little wipe before I steam. It's a damp cloth. All right. See how this goes. I don't make a lot of milk drinks these days. Okay, it looks pretty good. So once I'm done, the first thing I want to do is always wipe off my steam wand. And then again, I'm gonna purge. Turn that bad boy off. All right. Let's see if I can do this in front of the camera. So I'm gonna do a little splash. Kind of create a canvas. I'm gonna go high, low, speed up, and then through. And this is actually almond milk, but don't tell anyone. Okay, so let's try this. So it's actually quite good. There's some complex acidity. There's that orange note that was in the espresso, and then it combining with our milk here it's kind of like transformed. There's like, again, more brown sugar. It's really sweet. It's comboing actually quite well with the milk. And you're able to kind of punch through the milk. Sometimes acidic coffees can get washed out in milk beverages, and I think this one's quite good.